In the days of my youth, there were 3 films I could never get enough of: The Wizard of Oz, Star Wars, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka in particular struck a strong chord with me because of its music, the sets, creativity of all, and of course, the late and great Gene Wilder as Wonka. And shit, I love candy. It's perfect. So, as you can imagine, the Tim Burton remake is absolutely one of the worst things I've ever laid eyes on. I hate Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with a burning, fiery passion. Just about everything in this film is absolute ass and an insult to the original film. Allow me to elaborate. The film starts and the Warner Brothers logo appears like it's 5 out of 8 Harry Potter movies, and the title credits roll like it's the original, except it's all CG and nothing even looks a bit practical at making chocolate. The fuck are you parachuting chocolate for? The score doesn't help much either. It feels like Danny Elfman is throwing up in my ears. You know, I'm really starting to wonder if those are the only places Wonka sends his chocolate. I mean, look at the fucking boxes. They all have the exact same label. It's like a kid sending a letter to Santa. The candy gets shipped as every movie opening narrator begins to jabber.
This is a story of an ordinary little boy named Charlie Bucket.
This guy sounds like a tired version of the same guy from the Cat in the Hat movie.
There are gajillions of stories of mischief and fun. But to keep things simple, let's start with just one.
He was not faster or stronger or more clever than other children.
He couldn't act the best either.
His family was not rich or powerful or well-connected.
Well, yeah, no shit. That house was built by Dr. Seuss. Look at that. The goddamn door was put in at that angle. Charlie's father comes home to give him defunct toothpaste caps, I guess, and oh my god, shut up. I'm talking here. Let the goddamn characters talk about who they are and what they do. Jesus. Charlie uses the defunct pieces to build a replica of the factory. Why does he do this? I don't know. Narrator's isn't talking, so I have no idea why this is important to the kid. Also, he's clearly more artistically creative than most kids, you goddamn liar.
I used to work for him, you know.
Grandpa Joe, I know you're kind of a stinge in the original, but how have you never told this kid about your old job? He clearly idolizes Wonka, and this story probably would have been told to him a long time ago.
I love grapes.
Get it? She's senile, so that automatically makes it funny. We get to 20 years in the past where Grandpa Joe looks exactly the same as he does now. He must have that young man juice Tom Cruise has.
You are a younger man.
Gotta say, this old store kind of reminds me of a room that would probably be in the old film, but we got creepy chocolate animals to worry about.
Now open.
The man was a genius.
Eventually, Wonka opens his first factory, apparently 50 times bigger than any other chocolate factory in the world. We are then told about an Indian prince who wants a palace made of chocolate. And it melts in the sun. Okay, what the fuck does this have to do with anything right now? Weren't we not just told about Wonka's rise to power? This story never factors into the rest of the plot, and nobody ever mentions it again. Anyways, other companies start sending in spies to steal recipes from Wonka. It doesn't make any sense for these guys to be mean, like, what, 3 feet from the front door? No security cameras, Wonka? I love the fact the letter had to be stamped secret recipe. Like, no shit. You think this guy may have thought you took some kid's lunch money or something? Also, if you were caught with that in your pocket, you probably would have died. Wonka uses at least 4 torture tools on children later, so this adult probably would have been covered in novelty chocolate and turned to stone. The thievery causes Wonka to take action.
Mr. Wonka told every single one of his workers to go home. He announced that he was closing his chocolate factory forever.
I'm closing my chocolate factory forever.
Oh, come on, even Grandpa Joe has narrator-itis.
Then, one day, we saw smoke rising from the chimneys. The factory was back in business.
Did you get your job back?
The fuck do you think, you little shit?
Good night, Grandma Georgina.
Nothing's impossible, Charlie.
Okay, when aren't you insane?
Good night.
As Charlie presumably dies of frostbite, men on Wonka-branded bikes put up flyers announcing the golden ticket. Okay, but Who are these people, though? They look like the height of the average human, so there's no way they're Oompa Loompas. Why are you people doing this? Were they hired by Wonka? Have they seen Wonka? Did he touch you? These people are never even acknowledged. Also, did they put up these flyers across the entire planet or just a small town? Do these bikes have access to the Speed Force or something?
My name is Willy Wonka, and I am the fastest man alive.
I digress. Word spreads that Willy Wonka is going to allow 5 children into the factory and the race is on to find the golden tickets. Gotta get in the rejected stereotypes before we spend time with the real ones.
Mark my words. The kid who finds the first ticket will be fat, fat, fat.
I mean, was there gonna be any doubt about the weight of this kid? It's chocolate. You gotta eat a lot of it to find it. If this happened today, I would be fat. As Grandpa George predicts, Augustus Gloop finds the first ticket. Fat bastard almost ate the damn thing.
How did you celebrate?
I eat more candy.
We get it. He's fat. Oh, come on! His mom didn't even wipe his face before all these camera people showed up. He's gonna be known as, like, Poop Mouth in school or something. Veruca Salt finds her ticket almost immediately after the scene with Augustus. You know, it's very weird how these kind of remakes somehow find a way to go faster and slower all at the same time. One of Salt's workers finds the ticket and he gives it to his daughter.
Daddy, I want another pony.
Grateful little brat. Keep track of this kind of stuff with the kids, because I'm going to be bringing it back later. Charlie's parents come home for the night, and they give him a Wonka bar for his birthday. He doesn't find the ticket, though, although why is this a surprise? We all know when he gets it, right? Charlie then shares the chocolate with his family, despite it being his birthday present.
We'll share it.
Dude, it's your birthday, and you're poor! Hog that shit! This is my body, given to you in the form of chocolate. Do this in remembrance of me. Now we cut to, oh Christ, the news of Violet Beauregard finding the third ticket. Hey, I'll give it this, at least we're not in the... Oh, come on! It's just the same scene getting repeated over and over again. At least in the original, it spaced it out over the world going mad looking for the tickets and showed off all these locations and people. This is just the Bucket family learning about each kid in the house over and over again. This is the room levels of incompetence here.
You are tearing me apart!
I'm a gun sure, mostly. When I heard about these ticket things, I laid off the gun. Switched to candy bars.
She's just a driven young woman. I don't know where she gets it.
I'll give it this. Violet's parent got some form of an update. At least we didn't get one of those toddlers and tiaras kind of moms.
What a beastly girl.
Despicable.
You don't know what we're talking about.
Dragonflies?
This lady borders the lines of senile and Marvel movie quips.
The 4th golden ticket has been found.
We didn't even change the camera setup. Slow down. Oh my god. I'll give Tim Burton this. It was a good idea to make Mike TV more obsessed with video games rather than TV. But what kind of console is that? It looks like it has the build of an Atari 2600, 1/3 of the Steel Battalion controller, the graphic capacity of Halo, and some sort of game that looks like a mix between GoldenEye and Doom.
All you have to do is check the manufacturing dates, offset by weather, and the derivative of the Nikkei index. Or retard figure it out.
Must have been a pioneer 4chan.
I don't know. I hate chocolate.
Well, it's a good thing you're going to a chocolate factory, you ungrateful little butt.
Wow, Mr. Bucket has the noise reduction powers of a good pair of earbuds. This brings me back to my point from earlier. The kids who aren't Charlie are irredeemable. If you're going to remake something, that's fine, but improve upon something. Give it a different angle. Imagine if, in this film, the 4 brats had the same flaws they do now, but they were actually likable characters. Wouldn't that be so fun? But no, we're stuck with these morons and wait for them to get killed off like it's a slasher movie.
The question is, who will be the winner of the last gold?
Gee, I wonder if it's gonna be Charlie. You know, the main character. Why is it that every version of the story has this fake out? Mr. Bucket apparently got fired from his job because the factory he works at builds a machine that can do his job faster. I'm not even sure why this side story is in here. Is it to make up for the fact that the Slugworth Gobstopper story is gone? Why do we care so much about not caring about Mr. Bucket?
Don't worry, Mr. Bucket. My luck will change.
Wait, why are you calling him Mr. Bucket? Is Mr. his first name? Is this not your wife? We're not even in the factory yet. Nothing's making sense. Grandpa Joe offers Charlie some pocket money to go buy another chocolate bar. Charlie is still completely stiff.
Are you sure you want to spend your money on that, Grandpa?
He acts more robotic than the kid from AI. And that was a movie about a robot! Grandpa Joe falls asleep in what I think is supposed to be a death fake-out.
Grandpa. You fell asleep.
That was just weird. Had neither of you two opened a candy bar before? How the flying fuck did you just do that? Presumably the next day, Charlie overhears that the last golden ticket has been found. He then finds a $10 bill lost in the snow, or at least some Monopoly money. Seriously, that looks so fake. Speaking of fakes, we find out that the last ticket was a fake, even though the people we originally overheard it from said,
It's in the paper this morning.
how the fuck does a newspaper find out new information printed on the same day? It wasn't online or anything, so there's no way that kind of news could spread that fast. Charlie, in the same moment, finds the last ticket. Again, fast and slow, simultaneously. How are you doing this?
You found Wonka's last golden ticket.
He's then offered money for the ticket, but the storekeep tells him to run home. Charlie gets home and shows it to Grandpa Joe, who almost immediately gets out of bed. Remember in the original when Grandpa Joe getting up was kind of a big deal? Yeah, all that emotion is gone. He just get up, dances, and even offers to go to the factory with Charlie.
Who is going with Charlie to the factory?
I will. I'll take him. You leave it to me.
God, I wish this movie knew what pacing was. Charlie is surprisingly not willing to go? Wait, what?
We need the money more than we need the chocolate.
Okay, it's time for me to complain about Charlie Bucket. Charlie Bucket is not a character. Charlie Bucket is just a vessel. He has no character other than he's a good kid. Charlie in the other movie feels like an actual child. You could tell he cared for his family because he ran newspapers just to get them some food, and that's all you needed. This Charlie splits his birthday present because he has no other characteristic than he's Jesus. Charlie in the original could get excited, he could show fear, he could be selfish, he could be selfless. The original Charlie Bucket was a character! This Charlie has around one facial expression, and it's mostly at a neutral state, so you can never really tell what he thinks of the situation in hand. And that goes for his voice as well. I'm sure it's not his fault. I've heard the actor Freddie Highmore was pretty good in Bates Motel, but it's really not showing here. He is persuaded into going in by Grandpa George, of all people. Let the pessimist talk you into it.
Are you a dummy?
Yes!
Get that mud off your pants!
Charlie and Grandpa Joe go to the factory the next day as everyone kind of looks at each other like they're gonna kill one another.
Eyes on the prize, Violet. Eyes on the prize.
The gates finally open as we're greeted to, hell incarnate.
Willy Wonka, the amazing chocolatier. Willy Wonka, everybody give a cheer. Willy Wonka, here he
What the actual fuck is happening?
I take it back. I want to die.
Wasn't that just magnificent?
Oh boy, it's time. I'll give him this, it's something different from the original, but holy shit, what dark corner of the internet did this guy crawl out of?
Good morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello.
Yeah, Mike, we're going home now. This Wonka comes off creepy as hell. His mannerisms, the way he talks, that laugh. It's just incredibly creepy. I used to call this guy Pedo Wonka back in the day, but now as I rewatch it, I realize he surprisingly cares very little about the kids.
Don't you want to know our names?
Can't imagine how it would matter.
You invited these people to what's essentially your house, and you just start off being a dick right away. Even though Gene Wilder's Wonka was a trickster of sorts, he still respected the kids until they started misbehaving. I double-checked, and the original Wonka learned the name of every kid, expressed his delight, and almost shook every single person's hand.
I'm Veruca Salt.
My dear Veruca, what a pleasure. And how pretty you look in that lovely mink coat.
I've got 3 others at home.
And Mr. Salt, overjoyed to see you, sir. Would you just step over there for a minute?
Augustus Club.
Augustus, my dear boy, how good to see you, and in such fine shape. And this must be the radiant Mrs. Gloop. Just over there, dear lady.
Violet Beauregard.
Darling child, welcome to Wonka's.
What kind of gum you got here?
Charming. Charming.
Sam Beauregard here, Mr. Wonka.
My dear sir, what a genuine pleasure.
If ever you need anything in the automotive line, just call on Sam B. Phone number's on the card. With Sam B, it's a guarantee.
I'm Mike TV. Wow, you're dead.
Wonderful to meet you, Mike. And Mrs. Stevens, how do you do? What an adorable little boy you have.
Thank you.
Just over there.
Charlie Bucket.
Well, Charlie Bucket. I read all about you in the papers. I'm so happy for you. And who is this gentleman?
My grandfather, Grandpa Joe.
Delighted to meet you, sir. Overjoyed, enraptured, entranced. Are we ready? Yes.
This Wonka winces in fear of the kids. Also doesn't help that this guy gets a 1,000-yard stare whenever parents are mentioned.
Dad? Papa?
As terrifying as that was, keep it in mind, we'll come back. They start walking down the hall as Tim Burton doubles down on the assholery of these kids.
Would you like some chocolate?
Sure.
Then you should have brought some.
We come to the tiny door in the wall, and we enter the chocolate room, which looks like Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland movie if it had any color. Huh, it actually looks like a river of chocolate instead of liquid that turns reptiles into Ninja Turtles. Wonka explains that everything in the room is edible and lets his guests go loose, even though he's clearly demonstrated he does not like nor trust them. I love this fucking look Mr. Salt gives Wonka. It's basically how I've felt ever since the opening credits. All the kids go off to be asshats. Again, I really wish I could like anyone here. As Augustus goes on a hunger-induced rampage. Holy shit, kid! Calm the fuck down! You probably had a fucking turkey before you got here. Veruca points out tiny men working in the distance of the chocolate room, and Wonka reveals that these are the Oompa Loompas. Really? This is the best you got here, Tim? You were once one of the most creative directors of our time, and you just go with one smaller guy for all of the Oompa Loompas? I'll give some credit that the one guy doing it does fit into the scene, and it does look like there's multiple of them around. But that's just it. It's just the same guy multiple times. When I think of an Oompa Loompa, I think of short, orange-skinned, green-haired people. These were awful design for Oompa Loompas. Wonka goes on to tell the story of how he found them in Loompa Land, dressed as Michael Jackson's live-action portrayal as the man in the yellow hat. He says they lived in miserable conditions and he imported them here to work in the factory. I guess Burton decided to double down on Wonka using slave labor, too. Augustus falls into the chocolate river and starts getting sucked up into the pipe. God, I never want to see CGI Augustus ever again. That was horrifying. The Oompa Loompas start humming and prepare the first song. Because, you know, 50 minutes into the movie, perfect time to start being a musical. Although I will say, the songs aren't that bad.
Augustus Gloop, the great bakery nincompoop.
They're pretty catchy and change genre with each song, which adds some much-needed variety. Hell, most of the lyrics in the songs were ripped right out of the original book. I personally prefer the simpler songs in the original, but these aren't a half-bad way to shake things up. My question is, though, what exactly are they doing to hell? They just sing, Augustus makes the pipe burst again, and he flies up, then they just leave. It was just weird. Also, Augustus is dead. He's straight up dead. There is no way he's getting out of there. The chocolate riverboat arrives and the group gets on board while Wonka has a flashback. Did I ask for a Wonka backstory? No. Am I getting one? Unfortunately. Ooh, let me guess. His dad was a dentist or something. Oh, even better.
Let's see what the damage is this year, shall we?
Oh, how I wish Anakin Skywalker could just cut my head off right now.
Do it.
So Wonka's dad makes him go trick-or-treating just so he can burn the candy he got. Why just not let him go trick-or-treating? Seems like a waste of time. This battery is a waste of time! Alright, so here comes the tunnel. Oh boy, the tunnel. The film's original home of nightmares for generations. I'm sure you'll find a way to fuck it up, Burton. Get this. Tim Burton, the director of Beetlejuice, Batman, Corpse Bride, and the producer of A Nightmare Before Christmas, tames the tunnel scene. Oh yeah, it's just a universal right now. Bad puns and all.
Whipped cream.
Precisely.
I think I could get more disappointed. Wonka brings them into the inventing room, which definitely looks more like a room of experimentation rather than a Walter White crystal meth warehouse. Oh look, it's the Gobstoppers. Looks like they got neutered into actual candy that's sold. Violet eventually gets her hand on the 3-course meal piece of gum, and it's interesting to say the least. Well, she definitely grows bigger than the original. Just don't look for blueberries on DeviantArt. Listen to this fucking music. I feel like I'm watching Saw or something. After she stops, the Oompa Loompas come out, sing another catchy song, and take her away.
Let's boogie.
The rest of the group move on foot, and Wonka has another flashback.
In fact, Willy Wonka did remember.
Oh, heavens. I feel like I haven't heard this guy in like an hour. Why are you back now? Young Wonka finds a piece of candy that survived the fire, and he eats it. Okay, this piece was clearly drugged. Willy begins his obsession with candy, I guess. I have no idea how he eats this shit with all the crap that's on his face.
I'm sorry, I was having a flashback.
I see.
Fuck, did you see that? Mr. Salt just fucking pulled Veruca away. I'm glad someone here has some common sense left in them. We enter Veruca's tomb, where instead of golden geese this time, it's nut-cracking squirrels. What this kid wants with one, I don't even know. Wonka won't let her buy it, so...
I'm sorry, darling. Mr. Wonka's being unreasonable.
You know, I would ask how the fuck he does that, but the more questions I ask, the longer I have to watch this damn movie, so let's get on with it. Veruca hops over the fence and tries to get one of those squirrels. This results in what I can only describe as a cut scene from the Evil Dead movies. Christ, this is horrifying. They chuck her down the garbage chute, and the Oompa Loompas come out to sing a slow garbage ballad. Better than a funeral procession, I guess. As the Salts descended to hell for all eternity, the group enters the great glass elevator to reach their next destination. This movie wastes absolutely no time going from accident to accident with almost no filler in between. I suppose you could count Wonka's deranged flashbacks, but they almost have nothing to do with the story.
Candy is a waste of time. No son of mine is going to be a chocolatier.
So Willy's dad finds out that his son has been eating candy, which causes Wonka to run away. Didn't really offer any sort of punishment, he just kind of yelled at him. Willy makes his way through a room of flags, again not sure what his plan was, and he tries to go home, but in a surprise turn of events, Tim Burton gave up. That's all I got. I don't know how he did it, neither did Tim Burton. We get to the TV room where I guess Tim Burton wanted to show off he knows what movies are. I'm not even kidding. Pretty much the whole point of this room is to reference a bunch of different movies and media. You know, the chocolate teleportation technique is still completely stupid. Just make normal bars out of the really big one. You want some fucking 2001: A Space Odyssey references? Because we got one every trumpet player knows. Oh look, the chocolate bar is the monolith. Oh, just wait, it gets more in your face. Once Mike TV teleports himself, we get Oompa Loompa versions of news channels, cooking shows, that one robot boxing game, Psycho, 80s rock bands, the Beatles. Are we done yet? Mike is sent to the taffy puller and finds that Charlie is the only kid left. He congratulates him and declares that he has won.
Well done. Now we mustn't dilly or dally, because we have an enormous number of things to do before the day's out. But luckily for us, we have the great glass elevator to speed things along.
Oh, that is so satisfying. Can I see that again, please? Play it every Christmas. Wonka makes the elevator go up and out of the factory and lets it fly about in the air. They look below to find the other kids survive somehow and are on their way out. Augustus is made of chocolate, Violet is flexible for some reason, Veruca is covered in trash, and Mike is a long boy. Damn, that was one fast taffy puller. The TVs were off screen for literally 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Someone really didn't plan this correctly. The three of them literally crash into Charlie's house, and Wonka announces he's going to give the factory to him. The only catch is Charlie's family is not allowed to come with.
You can't run a chocolate factory with a family hanging over you like an old dead goose.
Oh my gosh. Why is this happening? Is this supposed to be the trial Charlie has to face here? The reason that the one worked is because Charlie actually broke the rules in the original. He did something wrong, he didn't tell Wonka, and he snaps at him and his grandfather. Charlie then gives the gobstopper back, showing Wonka Charlie truly is the one worth giving the factory to. In this version, Wonka just gives him a choice that only has one outcome. Bland Bucket over here is going to choose his family because apparently, despite some evidence saying otherwise, all this Charlie cares about is his family.
I wouldn't give up my family for anything. Not for all the chocolate in the world.
This is stupid. This is stupid. And you know what's the worst part of all of this, though? This is the last 10 minutes. This!
No, you're still holding on! Let go!
So the next day, the Bucket family fixes their roof. In the winter, mind you, and Mr. Bucket gets a new job at the toothpaste factory that fired him. Doing what, you ask? Fixing the machine that replaced him. So, if you had the knowledge of at least a competent mechanic, why are you putting caps on?
Let go!
Wonka comes to the realization that he is miserable and needs to feel better to get his life back on track. He goes to meet Charlie, who's working as a shoe shine now.
Let go!
Wonka concludes that he needs to talk to his father in order to reconcile with him.
And you know what? I got transferred.
Somehow that feels so much more satisfying right now. So, with no real reasoning, Wonka has a button that goes straight to where his father's home went. Again, still don't know how that happened. His father answers the door and performs his practices on Willy. He apparently has a lot of newspapers about Wonka in his news, and he finally recognizes him from his dental issues.
Heavens, I haven't seen bicuspids like these since... Willy?
Hi, Dad.
I haven't seen a hug so awkward since Voldemort and Draco Malfoy. Charlie then convinces Wonka to allow his family to come live in the factory, and it appears some time has passed because now the entire Bucket house has been moved entirely into the factory. Wonka didn't build them a new living area or a different room, he just took the house right out of the foundations and put it in the chocolate room. They all have dinner together like this is somehow fucking normal, and the film finally ends.
I never thought my life could be...
What an absolute train wreck. This is the kind of film that gets harder to sit through as it goes because it gets more incompetent as it keeps going. And this film had an Indian prince build a castle completely out of chocolate in the first 10 fucking minutes! Every single character is an absolute downgrade from the original. Charlie is a block of wood. The Buckets are just there. All the kids are even less redeemable than the original. The Oompa Loompas are less interesting to look at. And Johnny Depp creates an absolute bastardization of Willy Wonka that I drink to forget. And some things just never add up with the rules this world set up. Mr. Bucket worked at a job putting caps on toothpaste when he had clearly higher skill level. Wonka has a button that goes straight to his father who's been missing for years. The narrator just appearing whenever he feels like it. It's just an utter mess. I haven't even mentioned some of the dated effects that looked right out of Food Fight, or how Miss Beauregard pointlessly flirts with all the other parents, and how all the rooms shown in between the nut room and the TV room make no fucking sense. This movie makes you tired and exhausted from how fast it goes, and when it slows down, it's on parts that shouldn't be included at all. Fucking Willy Wonka backstory. What the hell was even the point of that? I need to drink some chocolate-flavored vodka to get this out of my system.